Welcome back, everybody. Jerry Abramson's with us. You probably know his name, five-time mayor of Louisville, now Democratic candidate for lieutenant governor for the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Welcome.
Thank you. It was actually 3 times the mayor of Louisville.
Okay.
2 times the mayor of Louisville, Jefferson County merged community.
Okay, so a consolidation there.
So I got to do both the county and the city job.
And you were telling me before we started, and this is kind of off the subject, but Louisville was ranked, what, like 16th largest city now.
Source 16. We're the 16th largest
It's
city.
an omen.
Yeah, that's why I'm here, I figured.
All right, well, of course, the big campaign going on, you have stepped in, you're running for lieutenant governor. Daniel Mongiardo ran for Senate. Stephen Beshear contacted you. You're running against David Williams and Richie Farmer. Tell me a little bit about, it's got to be a transition from being, I mean, you're Mr. Wonderful in Louisville now because you always had high popularity and all that. What about going out statewide? What's the difference?
Well, you know, the difference is a lot less than I had thought, to be honest with you. As you travel around the community, the Commonwealth, what you find literally is, number one, the media market of Jefferson County is 40 some odd counties. So you get out of the car in a community and people know who you are. Secondly, you find when you go out into the rural areas or into the just smaller cities that the issues they're dealing with are the same issues that I dealt with as the county judge mayor of Jefferson County, Louisville merged, or the old city of Louisville. I mean, I have buffalo farms in my county. I have cattle farms in my county. I have coyote problems in my county. That county, when I was merging this, when it merged the city and county, it gave me an opportunity to work on both rural, suburban, and urban issues. So if I'm talking with the county judge of Taylor County, or if I'm visiting, as I did yesterday, with the mayor of Greensburg, you're literally in a much smaller community. But when you're talking about jobs, when you're talking about roads, when you're talking about sewers, and you're talking about water lines, you're talking about parks, you're talking all of the methamphetamine and illegal prescription drug issues, all of those issues I've dealt with for several decades, and I have an opportunity to relate to them as we go across the state because they're the same issues, unfortunately in many cases, and fortunately in some, the same issues that are on the minds of citizens throughout the Commonwealth.
Now, you know, this may be, again, the economy is everything right now, and so this may be just setting you up for a question here, but what's the big problem? What do we have to face right now?
The big problem is the worst financial crisis this country has seen since the Great Depression.
Okay.
And literally, as a result, unemployment across America, home and farmers losing their farms, citizens, residents losing their homes on defaults. The economy is it, and the job issue is it. Which is why the governor has worked as hard as he can, first to make sure we keep the community, the Commonwealth afloat, and we make sure that the Commonwealth has a commitment of dollars to K through 12 for children, a commitment of dollars to ensure the state police stay in business because they play a major role in public safety, a commitment of dollars for the underpinnings, the safety net for those families that had never thought they would be without a job, and now they need Medicaid support or K-CHIP for their children. And finally, economic development. I mean, this governor changed the economic development rules of Kentucky 2 years ago when he led and the legislature followed the changes we made in incentives so that not only do we give incentives when we bring a business in from Illinois to Kentucky, but for the first time 2 years ago, if you're a Kentucky business and you're expanding, you get the same incentives. So we're taking care of the opportunity of our own folks to have a chance as they're investing money and creating jobs, that they get those types of incentives. And you saw the governor, gosh, a month ago, 3 weeks ago, I guess, he flew over to India for the day. One day over, I didn't say Indiana.
Right.
I said India, and literally brought back a company. It'll be the first Indian investment in Kentucky, about 260 jobs in the Hardin County area. And you hope it'll be similar to what Governor Collins did with Toyota, because now we've got 50, 60 Japanese companies in Kentucky hiring and creating jobs for Kentuckians.
Many of them locally here, too.
I know that. That's why I bring that up. And then you follow it up with this, if the Indian experience is good, you hope that others out of India will do what they call reverse investment, create more jobs.
We're talking to Mayor Jerry Abramson. I'll call him mayor, because five-time mayor of Louisville, or Louisville
Jefferson County Metro.
Combined, whatever, judge, executive. He's been everything except lieutenant governor, and that's what he's running for right now. And we'll return and talk some more right now. Let's talk a little bit about the last legislative session. Now, you're kind of an outsider looking in, as you're now running. But it's an interesting concept when you have the sitting governor running against the president of the Senate. Any observations on that?
Well, as you know, the governor's opponent, as you said, the leader of the Senate, literally made sure that certain issues never got a vote during that session. For example, the First Lady and the governor felt strongly that we should change the high school dropout age in Kentucky. We should have our children stay in school until they're 18 rather than the law as it exists today.
Is that the one Mashburn
16.
was behind? Or
Yeah, oh
Charles,
yeah, came up,
Jamal
that's
Mashburn?
exactly right, Jamal. Came up, testified, the House of Representatives, almost unanimous vote, Republicans and Democrats. The piece of legislation goes over to the Senate, and the Speaker on his own, the governor's opponent, simply says we're not having a vote. So, you know, we say to people, if you think kids ought to be able to drop out of school at the age of 16, you ought to vote for our opponent. If you think kids ought to be able to stay in school till 18 and then hopefully go on for a one-year certificate, a two-year associate's degree, or four-year college, then you need to be supporting Jane and Steve Beshear, because that's exactly what happened. When you have a person sitting in the seat who can, in the Senate seat, that can stop the opportunity for people to vote on the floor of the Senate, you create real difficulties, and I think, I would submit to you, hold back the state.
Now, are you saying you think that was a political ploy on his part?
I don't know why he did it, other than it's either a political ploy, or he truly believes 16-year-olds should drop out, should have the opportunity to drop out of school. When politics gets in play, public policy generally ends up falling to the rear, to the back of the crowd, and it has been difficult.
All right, now tell me this. Career politicians are not the most attractive candidates these days. There are people who are going to say, Jerry Abramson, he's a career politician. Why should we elect him?
Well, you know, 2 decades as mayor or county judge in my community, I think what I bring is experience. I know that I bring an ability to market and create, government doesn't create jobs, but work with private business to create jobs. Whether I worked with small businesses to grow, whether I worked with the large businesses like General Electric and that are bringing products out of China now back to Kentucky to be made in Kentucky, out of Mexico to be made here in Kentucky, or Ford Motor Company to be able to ultimately not only keep the plants open, but hire 1,700 new jobs. I think that I can assist this governor in the economic development field, in the education field, and thirdly, working with mayors and county judges around the state to help them be more efficient and more effective leaders of their respective communities.
You know, I told you I was going to ask you the question.
The big one.
The big question which would define whether you get votes in our part of the country, and it's a very simple question, UK or U of L?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I got to be honest with you. I'm a U of L fan.
Okay.
But I'm also one of those peculiar U of L fans who supports UK every game except one.
Okay.
And that's the game that they play against the Cardinals. So
Well,
I'm for
at least
UK.
you're honest here, you know?
I'm for UK every game except when they play the Cardinals, and I'm a U of L for every game.
Now, background, you're an attorney, and so you've got a legal background, and went to Indiana, didn't you?
I went to Georgetown Law School
Okay.
in Washington, D.C. after I spent 2 years in the United States Army.
Okay.
It gave me an opportunity. In fact, the funny thing is my dad was in World War II. My mother was a WAC in World War II. My mother outranked my dad in the Army, and my mother outranked my dad in the home.
That works that way.
But I had that background, and so I spent 2 years in the United States Army during the Vietnam conflict. Did not go to Vietnam, but served in the Judge Advocate Corps. And then with the GI Bill, gave me an opportunity to go to law school.
Real quick, because we're running out of
Sure.
time here, but speaking of which, this area here primarily or major relies on Fort Campbell.
You bet.
Your thoughts on the military in Fort Knox, Fort Campbell?
Yeah, let me tell you, I was stationed at Fort Knox for 1 year before I went to the West Coast. I worked with the 3-star general at Fort Knox for the last many years, especially during the change of command out there, which is now going from an armor center to an HR center. 5,000 new jobs coming into that Breckenridge, Meade, Hardin County area.
Right.
We've been working as a region to support the efforts in terms of better roads to get the people in and out, to be able to provide better housing available now for 5,000 new people coming into the military. Having been a veteran, my mom and dad both being veterans, strong supporter, been to Fort Campbell only twice, been to Fort Knox a lot,
Right.
and the support of the men and women who are serving. In fact, in Louisville just the other day, 1,300 Kentucky National Guardsmen were deployed out of the National Guard facility in Louisville. The largest call-up since World War II were deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq.
Okay.
So this we believe, we support and do everything we can to help.
Folks, I don't think we've seen the last of Jerry Abramson, former mayor of Louisville and Jefferson County and judge executive and candidate for the Democrats for lieutenant governor this fall. Thanks for coming by.
Great to be with you. Thank you.
And we'll be back right after this.